Darren. So I sent out, until we get our AV issue sorted out, we have some other things we can go over. On the meetup page and on NoVaLUG, the NoVaLUG mailing list, I sent out the boards.net or the board.net agenda. So we can start with that. If you have your computer or iPhone or whatever you want to just follow along. I was hoping we could display it, but we're working on that issue. So. All right. So anyway, you can follow along. This is the thing we're using is called Etherpad, and the way it works is it's kind of like Google Docs, but it's free. And can hey. So the thing that is Etherpad. You can bring it up on your phone. You can bring it up on your computer. You can follow along. You can edit. There's a chat in there if you want to chat. And that's what I'm going to go off of until we get the AV working. Sorry about that. I see. Yes, apparently there is. It's called Arlington Wireless, and it is open. Thank you for whoever edited the Etherpad and put that in there. Thanks. I just want to point out that after this meeting, we don't need to do anything to the seating. We just need to make sure we kind of leave it as we found it. There's another group that's coming in to do a musical something or other, right, Matt? Yeah, so. And there is a meeting survey. So after the meeting, if you go to the meeting survey and just fill that out. I'm sorry, that is a Google form, but it's my personal thing, so I'm not tracking you. Google may, but whatever. And there's also a participants list at the bottom of the Etherpad if you want to put your name. If you feel comfortable putting your name, it's not a requirement, and whatever social details you have in there. All right. Also, feel free to interrupt me at any moment and ask a question. Future meetings. So that's the current meeting. Am I leaving out any logistics things here? No. I do want to point out the who we are thing. So some of you may be new. We said there were quite a few people on the meetup.com thing that said they were new. So this is an informal group. We don't, as we can tell, right? So this is a very informal group, hopefully friendly, and full of hobbyists. Some people are professional IT people. Some people are computer programmers, that type of stuff. So we are not, we're not a corporate organization or anything like that. Not driven by corporate agendas. So this is mostly an interest group. I did not know this until I actually went back through the NoVaLUG webpage the other day. This may be the oldest Linux users group in the world. It goes back to 1993. Which I know predates some of the ones I was involved in the late 90s. So that's pretty good. All right. More exciting. All right. Future meetings. So we don't know where our next meeting is going to be. It may be right back here. There will be one in April. We just don't know the date yet. The reason is because even though Arlington County has been gracious enough to give us the space for this meeting, they do, for the sake of allowing other groups to come in, they do limit the number of times we can use the space to 4 times a year. So that obviously does not work out to 12 meetings. So we are actually looking at spaces. Excellent. We're actually looking at spaces at Nova Virginia Community College. Can you bring up the? Yep. Thank you. Nova Virginia Community College, and we are talking with Ridgeline. If anybody remembers, back before the pandemic, NoVaLUG was meeting at Ridgeline, which is in Tyson's Corner. I don't know if their office has or has not moved. But my understanding is it's a quick 15 minutes walk from a metro, which seems to be a requirement, people seem to be asking for that a lot. So we will be recording this meeting. The next meeting, we are not live streaming. We are recording this meeting, so if you don't want your face on a recorded video that will show up on YouTube, don't step in front of the iPad. I would actually ask them when steps near the iPad so we don't knock it over. That's a very flimsy tripod. But hopefully in the coming meetings we will have either Zoom or some sort of live streaming or something like that, because not everyone can make it every month. We actually got quite a few people saying they would have come or they couldn't come. I think we're good, right, Darren?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So while Darren works on that. All right, and we will be scheduling meetings. There we go. Ooh. We will be scheduling meetings regardless of whether we have a main presenter or not. So, so expect this to be regular, and so forth and so much. All right. Any questions about that? All right. Now we're going to do an icebreaker. Hold on. Let me grab my thing here. I thought I misunderstood how the room was going to be set up. So anyway, so my icebreaker may not work, but let's do this. Let's see if this works. So for people, I would like people to get together in small groups. If you're sitting next to somebody, just you can just turn to them. But the idea here is, and I have 3 prizes. The idea here is, there you go. I want you all to exchange first names or handles, or whatever you feel comfortable exchanging, but tell each other something that's true about you, but also something that is a lie, but it's a believable lie. Okay? And I'm going to randomly select 3 people and see who can figure out what was a lie and what was the truth. Okay? Does that sound good? No? Okay. Well, you're going to do it anyway because we're all introverts. So... so it's 10:26 now. Let's take 4 minutes to do that. And remember, I have prizes. So, all right. Tell me your things. Okay, I'm going to tell you something that's true about me. I was born in Morocco, and I have a club foot.
Wait, those are...
One's a truth, one's a lie.
I'm supposed to try to figure out what...
Yeah.
Okay. Shit. I run Ubuntu on my computer.
That's a lie. I said believable. Okay.
I mean, technically I do now. I'm using my HP computer.
Yeah, okay, whatever. What's the truth?
I have taken a sailing class.
All right, we'll figure that out. All right. So how much time do we have here?
Lots of people are asking about you.
All right. All right. All right, settle down. All right. Let me tell you a truth about one of the prizes and a believable lie. The truth is that this is a microcontroller. Well, you guys have to determine that's the truth. This is a microcontroller. And I got 3 of them. And it only cost me $15 a piece. Okay? Now, which one of those is the truth and which one of those is a lie? How much did it cost me? Do you know what this is?
Looks like a Pi Zero, and it's $5 or less.
Oh no, Pi Zeros cost around $12. So this is an ESP. This is an ESP32, and it cost me $5. So. All right. Since you spoke up, who did you talk to?
I talked to this guy.
And what's his name?
I think Tom.
Tom. Okay. What did he tell you?
He said he plays the trumpet.
And what else did he tell you?
I forget.
Is the trumpet a truth or a lie?
I think that was the lie.
Do you play the trumpet?
Anyone else want it? I got a whole stack of these.
All right. There you go. You, sir. who did you talk to? Pick anyone. All right. What did he tell you? What 2 things did he tell you?
He's an expert at what he does.
Well, we see where this is going, right? And what else did he tell you?
He likes me.
You know what? You deserve that. Just. All right, one more person. You, sir. Who did you talk to?
I talked to Ed right here.
Oh boy. All right, I know Ed. So everything he says is a lie. So what did Ed tell you?
He works at ICANN.
Okay, that could be believable. All right, next.
Also, we talked about a lot of things, but he's also working on a paper to talk about the distribution of the management of TLDs across the world.
Which one of those is a lie?
I think they're both true.
Are they both true?
Yeah.
So I work with him at ICANN. I'm not sure I would call it work, but whatever. All right. Job openings. So who here, other than what's up here on the screen, who here has a job opening they want to briefly stand up and talk about? Anybody? Hands? Nobody? Hands? Oh, yes. All right, so Red Hat.
Oh, yeah, what's...
You, sir.
So I'm Rob, and I don't work in InfoBlocks, but these 3 fools all do. And they do a lot of people. So if you have a Linux background, you like DNS, come talk to one of these 3. Yep.
All right. Anybody else? All right. So the ones I kind of found. So the Nova Community College, they are looking. If you want a side hustle, they're looking for people who want to be adjunct professors. Adjunct means you're not a full-time professor. You just kind of like do the night classes or the Saturday classes or something like that. Requires a master's degree. but they need all sorts of people that can do IT, be an IT adjunct professor. So that's a pretty good side hustle. As you know, Darren and I work for ICANN, so does Ed. And so we actually have a couple positions open as well. We have a technical product manager and a principal engineer. Both of those are actually in my department, believe it or not. And then we have a staff software engineer as well. So if you can do those, and Sam, where did Sam go? There he is, Sam. So Aaron has 2 positions open. Sammy. Security engineer and an SRE as well. How many people are looking for jobs? Out of curiosity. All right. So you've seen what we have up here. You've seen what the Infoblox people in Red Hat have. So if you think your skills match that or you're interested, go talk to them after the meeting. Okay.
If you don't think your skills are competent, come talk to us.
There you go. Infoblox takes anybody. Yes.
I'll be right over. I got a couple people. That's fine.
Yes, sir.
I got one thing here. There's an educational opportunity for anybody who is a Virginia resident. A organization called SKIP is holding right now, and for the rest of the year, it's going to be holding openings for taking classes. Right now, it's remote for the Eastern Shore Community College, but it can be.
Oh, for the
okay. A bunch of them. It's part of the Fast Forward program for Commonwealth Virginia. If anybody's interested in getting their CIS,
test 1, 2, 3.
CISA, CEH, any of those, any cybersecurity kinds, come see me. I'll look you guys up and get you guys at that conference with the folks at SKIP. Okay.
So I have one last position in my group at ICANN. I am in charge of network engineering, DNS operations, and ICANN's root server operations. It's not a U.S. position. If any of you know anybody in the APAC region, I'm having a difficult time finding a system engineer who is also fluent in DNS. So if you have any friends overseas that you talk to periodically, I won't try to poach any of your coworkers, but you know, friends in your community, send them my way.
All right. And with that, Darren,
Oh.
you want me to introduce you, or are you?
I'm self-introducing.
There we go.
I kind of just introduced myself. Just out front, we learned something interesting. You know, the iStar community, the ICANNs, the iSOCs, the Aarons, and things like that. It tends to be a small world. We just met Sam, who was a precursor to Andy, myself, Ed, and Ed at Aaron. Late 90s, so he was OG Aaron. And I started in 2000. We didn't overlap, but small world. It's a pleasure meeting you. Like I said, I think there were still some hosts that had your username embedded in them in the password file until we, you know, refreshed all the systems. Nominally, I was going to talk about host files and DNS. Really, I'm not going to get too much into the specifics of DNS. If you do not know what DNS is, please raise your hand. I just want to know you know, I see a lot of people that look like they've been doing this. Well, you don't count. I will not claim to be an expert of anything. I'm always learning. I always want to learn new things, and I try to surround myself with smarter people than me. I'm mostly pointy-haired boss now at ICANN, but I still have hands-on to all of my DNS infrastructure, all my root server operations, all on Linux. So this is going to be more of a little story about my time in the industry, the advent of Linux. So I hope you enjoy it. We will touch upon DNS since I did tease that. I've done Who Am I? Why am I here? I'm helping Andy. Andy said he wanted to resurrect NoVaLUG. I was not a past member of NoVaLUG, at least not participating. I was on the mailing list probably, but I was raising 3 kids when Linux came on. I was at Aaron. I was working. I was on call at the time. So all my extra time was either, you know, putting out fires or doing things with my children. I didn't have a lot of extracurricular activity. Now my kids are all adults, so I would like to help my friend, help the community to revitalize this, share my experience, and learn about all of your experiences because, like I said, I'm still operationally motivated. There are things I can learn from everybody here. Again, you know, we're really not here to poach talent. We're here to share information. You know, because things that you say might help me in my environment, I might say something that sparks interest. We communicate offline. So yeah, we're restoring a valuable guru. And yes, this presentation is not about DNS, bait and switch, sorry. But you know, that's the internet, you know, this is like clickbait, right? But I do want to point out a couple of the luminaries that really I wouldn't have a job or a career, yes, thank you, without these people. The internet used to be a host.txt file. People would have to call into, what was it, SRI or whatever. They would update it, redistribute it, so that you would know, you know, the common, you know, a human readable name to find the systems. Not scalable. Oops, sorry. Oh yeah, that's going to be better on that side. On the top we have John Postel. He kept his notebook, famous notebook, handing out IP addresses to people that when they requested address blocks. On the bottle is Paul. I always get Makapetris. Thank you. We even have rooms named after him in our LA office. As I recall, at the behest of John, he went to Paul and said, "Hey, we need a system for handling this. Come up with something." He ended up writing RFCs 882 and 883 in order to lay out the DNS system, which was going to solve this problem. Why was this important? For the internet to take off, it needed to be consumable by a lot of people, not just technical people. And we can only remember so many IP addresses. I mean, most of us know our common IP addresses on our network. And, but, you know, if I wanted to go to Google, I'm not going to remember all their IP addresses, especially in this day and age. www.google.com. DNS gives you the IP address, gives your computer the IP address under the hood. You get there. Converts names to number. Humans like words. Hierarchical and distributed. You can give authorization authority to the people who own the domains in order to make the changes so that they get updated and promulgated and propagated to the whole internet, so people can find you. Pardon me? Federated, thank you. The centrally located file didn't scale. So this, along with the advent of Linux, in my opinion, and the World Wide Web, is why we are in the situation we are today, for good or bad. The digital society, which sucks us all into being on our devices far more than we should be. I try to work with my children about screen time, but I failed miserably. So yeah, these things together got us to where we are today. Why was Linux important in this? So Linux and DNS, this could be any service, right? When Linux came along and we could use commodity hardware with open source operating system, find a way to get it on the internet, we could run whatever we wanted. It didn't have to be monolithic systems anymore. You didn't have to share time at a university lab or share time on, you know, mainframes and things like that. It gave us a platform to play with. We could load it on almost anything. It gave us tools. I mean, you think about, you know, ping and traceroute and dig and you know, hosts and things like that. It made that readily available, so it became muscle memory for all of us. You know, we knew how to start troubleshooting early on, because just loading Linux early on could have been, you know, challenging. You know, so we got all kinds of experience. Oh, I'm not even going to discuss changes in media format. You know, whatever, 24 3.5-inch Slackware discs or whatever, right? Or loading Doom, right? But so we had platforms to set up our Quake servers, our, you know, IRC servers, our DNS servers, SMTP relays. Before Linux, I was kind of a hardcore Solaris guy. I cut a lot of my teeth on Solaris. Probably could have gone and worked for them. Oh, the other things Linux brought to us was quicker security patches, quicker updates, and increased performance. There were people that were working on how to improve all of our software packages running on Linux. It was all about optimization. It was all about making things better. You know, they were like the 3M, right? You know, 3M always had that commercial. We don't make the thing, we make it better, right? Linux helped us all to improve our skills as well as make the internet faster and perform well. A little bit more about me. First computer, Apple II Plus, 1981. I like to talk. I don't like to write. I had some learning disabilities. I had weak motor coordination. Couldn't write for, you know, they just thought I was dumb because I couldn't convey what I knew with the written word. I got a computer. I learned to touch type. I was allowed to turn my things in via word processor. So I thank my father for my interest in computers from early time. In 1981, I was in Hawaii, got the Apple II Plus. It was probably like $2,000 at the time. Big investment for a military officer at the time, Pearl Harbor Exchange. My first job with EDS, Enormous Data Systems under Ross Perot, we were doing work for the military and we were using Data General UX, Unix. That was my first introduction to Unix-like operating systems. I'm sad that Data General died. Anybody work with the old Data General Avions and the Clarion towers, right? They got consumed by EMC, not for their Unix, but for the towers, the dual SCSI, DG Unix was very efficient. Their systems, the first dual processor system I ever worked on, but the dual Centronics connectors to the Clarion and their volume management were very important to, some of the growth. But they died out in 2000. EMC stole their technology, and then, unbeknownst to me, they started running Windows. I plugged into my first EMC 4700. And I see Windows booting up on it, and I was like, oh, that's just a sad day. The first Linux distribution I started running, like at my house, Debian. Pretty much been a Debian guy ever since. But I've run Red Hat, RHEL, Fedora, any number of things, some BSD. My preference, though, has been Ubuntu. It loaded well on all my workstations, loaded well on my laptops. I just got used to it. I didn't like fighting with KDE, GNOME, and all that stuff. I just wanted it to work at that point. So, what I run in production? Ubuntu. My entire infrastructure at ICANN, all Linux, all Ubuntu. We couldn't live without it. We couldn't be doing what we're doing today without Linux. I didn't want a rack of, R220 Solaris boxes, right? They would get crushed, and nowadays they would get crushed. They wouldn't have nearly the performance. Our latest benchmarks for each of our systems, I think on the 8 million queries per second or something ridiculous like that. I'll get to that more in a minute. Do I have hobbies that are not technically related? Yes. I like to rock climb, mostly indoor right now. Miss climbing outside. Need to get back to Colorado. I'm an avid record collector. Yeah. Them also. From EDS, after I got fired for cause for computer hacking, which I didn't do it. I got set up. No, seriously. I wish I'd had the skill at that point to have done what they accused me of. I mean, I did end up getting those skills, but I got let go with extreme prejudice. Got picked up by TRW. This is where I ended up doing a lot of the Solaris work. These monolithic boxes, side by side, HA, and I learned quickly that it was the wrong way to do things. We'd have one box reboot. We'd go walk around our building for 30 minutes as everything came back online. I then went to Aaron, where I got to do everything, and I got to start using Linux in production. We were Solaris shop then first, but we ended up moving everything to Red Hat for the purposes that I mentioned. I did some time with Time Warner Cable, layer 2 engineer, data center engineer, but then I had the opportunity to come back into the internet community. I have a great affinity for internet infrastructure. I feel strongly about an open and free internet and working with the community. So that's one of the reasons why I came back. Why record collecting, though? I don't know if you've seen this meme. The two things that really drew me to vinyl were the expense and the inconvenience. And I realized when I put this here, I said, you could say Solaris here too. It works in both realms, right? You know, all that Solaris equipment was expensive. It didn't give you a lot of options, and you were locked in. So, yep, Linux. So, you know, I was looking it up because everybody has a little slightly different pronunciation. But even Linus has 2 recordings of himself saying it's slightly different. So I can understand the confusion after all these years. So, like I said, I can manage root servers. We have instances all over the world. I think probably about 70 countries. Again, all running Ubuntu securely, efficiently. And a lot of you know it as LRoot. It's always going to be all root labeled in the root. We did a little rebranding. We got kind of tired of being a letter. A lot of people, for some reason, fixate on the letters, right? 13 letters, 12 operators, and we found, at least with ICANN being in our situation, it caused far more discussion than we wanted. So we kind of rebranded internally, and any of the people who host our nodes all around the globe now know it as IMRS. So these are community members. That's part of our model as a root server operator, is to include, you know, being ICANN, people in the community to host these systems to help their infrastructure in their part of the world.
That's the genius of DNS, that the zones are so easily distributed.
Yeah. Yeah, and we even have, on all these systems, you can pull it over HTTP also. There's a copy of the zone file updated if you want to get that way. Yes, sir?
Bit of a history and a
Yep.
practical question. I know the root servers have raced to see who could get a node into the weather station down in Antarctica. You all over those, we're in every continent.
I didn't say every continent.
It was down to you and F-Root, and I'm just curious if anybody finally got
I would check the root servers map. If anybody, I would assume it was Paul at ISC could have gotten one down into Antarctica. Yeah, it would probably be F-Root if it's there. I hadn't looked at the map in a while. Again, our model is, I would have to have somebody down there request one, say, hey, you know, we'll buy your appliance and we'll, you know, put it in the closet here and serve Antarctica with it. We do continuous DNS sec for ICANN's domain portfolio. That's part of my job also. We're always signing our zones. It's a big push by a lot of organizations. Again, we have policy people, outreach people. We have people in Octo and research who go around the world. I don't know, Ed, if you push DNSSEC specifically, but it's always going to be a big push. There was some stuff brought up about not everybody, say, trusting the current system or having other views on it too. So there's still some friction in DNSSEC, but as far as ICANN goes, all the domains we sign with DNSSEC, except for a few special use zones, example.com, right? We don't sign that, but that's kind of over here as far as things go. We run 4 different DNS servers depending on our need within our infrastructure. Again, Linux makes this possible for us. You know, we just got stacks of 1U boxes. It's, you know, like everybody in every data center, where you could have single purpose boxes, not bind, NSD, and unbound. They each have different capabilities that we use within our environment. The 2 we use for root server operations, NSD and not. At any time, if there's a 0 day, so this is one of the things that goes back to the resiliency of the root server system. I can flip from NSD to not on any of my systems. It's a flag in a YAML file, git pull or git push, you know, commit git push, and it gets propagated within 15 minutes, or we can manually do puppet runs to update it even quicker. We try to split 50-50 as far as daily operations go, but we do have that possibility. And again, you know, this is all related to the fact that I don't have to have these expensive monolithic boxes out there. Future talks that I can give here, I didn't want to get into too much of the technical aspects of DNS because, as we saw earlier, we kind of understand how it works. There are more advanced topics. I will probably bring in Andy, if you'd like. I can bring in some of my teammates to zoom in when we get more technical here to discuss some of these things about my environment, about ICANN's environment. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about, was just how much Linux has helped my career. And I suspect all of your careers have been built around Linux and the internet and expandability, getting away from vendor lock-in, getting away from proprietary operating systems, which, as we know, aren't patched as quickly, have lots of bugs that sometimes you have to live with. So, again, that's why I'm here. I feel like I'm more of a zealot now, looking back on this presentation. I owe so much to my journey within the Linux community. People have been great. If you remember back in the day, it was all books on the shelf, or IRC asking people, I've run into this issue. What do you guys do? Because there weren't KBs. There were not, there wasn't a lot online at the time, so we had to rely on each other. And I really appreciate that aspect of things.
Out of curiosity, who here is interested in DNSSEC? Who here knows what DNSSEC is? Okay, who doesn't know what DNSSEC is? Ed, sorry.
So I see a future presentation easily.
How many people have tried it and given up or can't figure it out? Ed, all right. So
Really
you're embarrassing myself.
easy with the bind distribution in Linux. The DNSSEC is easy. Just, it comes with bind, and you sign the file and put it in a cron tab, and you're done.
So I told you I run 4 name servers because they're all better at different things. Bind doesn't really handle the amount of queries we want publicly facing.
I thought you were going to talk about the 4 roles of a DNS server.
Okay, well, thank you for asking.
So just for the record, I wrote ISC's DNSSEC guide, and I would just like to argue that no, it is not easy. It's doable, but it is not easy. And I literally wrote my name can go like that.
Right on. We use bind internally in our signing infrastructure.
It's doable.
Yeah.
And it's gotten better. But the fact that they locked its own Arlington name, it's been a rough road to get to pretty easy.
Yeah, and going back, I didn't even get into the whole moving from bind 4 to bind 8, and eventually bind 9. That's a whole topic in and of itself. Different versions of bind. Yeah. Well, because then I feel like I have. Oh yeah, future talk. Yeah. And then we use Unbound for internal caching resolvers. We find that works best for us. So those are the different use cases. Not in NSD, we have contracts with those companies for any improvements we want to see out of those daemons, be it telemetry information, things like that, or how to get the little bit extra out of the systems. So we're very much tied in, obviously, with the DNS community.
Are there other formats? I've only dealt with the bind format for zone files. Are there other formats that I'm not aware of that other software uses? Because I haven't used a lot of that other software.
Ed, can I punt to you for this one?
Zone file is just the way to print out the information of being zoned.
Yeah.
And Bind uses one, and they've used one forever. It's actually in standards. They sure are standards. There's a lot of RFCs, for examples. But you go to a lot of companies. I worked for a company which ran DNS out of database, and there never was a zone file. The database SQL into their software. Zone file is not required. It's just a way that we represent this abstract information that's in the DNS.
Right. So I've talked a lot. I clearly am an outgoing person. But one of my favorite things is listening and just talking one-on-one with people. I don't have a technical degree. All my chops came from on-the-job training. My background is speech communication. I thought I was going to be a professor, and then I got married. I didn't want to be poor, and I had an aptitude for computers. So again, computers have made my life nice. Not without its ups and downs. I would really like to hear from all of you at some point. Yes, sir.
You're taking suggestions on Paul. security as a whole with DNS. One of the things our three other agencies put out just a few years ago was like 98% of all exploits and malware use DNS. So, monitoring what you're looking at, that if you're sticking on a DNS, that's a good topic.
Yeah, Ed, there are people in Octo that research this. A lot of these things, things like DGAs, right? That create.
The security about the OS, the security about the internet, the security about the DNS, and then there's DNS. These are all important topics.
So infrastructure touches everything.
Yeah.
And so what I found is used for black holes.
Yep.
And
Black hole things.
Probably the biggest gain I get out of that. I run a VPN. I plug my phone at it anywhere in the world. I've got my phone.
Yeah, we'd be. Oh.
VPN in my toolkit that I use a lot.
Yeah, I'm putting. VPNs again, another discussion. On top of Linux, OpenVPN was great. On our Bastion hosts back in the day, we installed that in order to get in and out of our network securely. We will take anybody who wants to do a presentation. If you want to throw something to get it together and vet it with Andy, again, I'd love to hear from all of you. I've talked too much. Andy, back to you.
Any questions for him?
Well, I think we've already just done the Q&A.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you put it back on the?
It's good. I was running out of answers. I only have so many.
Yeah.
That's how to get here. Oh, what did you do?
It was in your web browser.
This one? No.
Keep going. Other tab. There we go.
There
Can you blow it up?
Yeah.
There we go. That's good. All right. So what we want to do is we kind of want to also establish a regular part of the meeting where we just talk about FOSS stuff, free and open source software stuff. Are people chatting? Can you hit the? There we go.
Oh.
The chat thing. I'm kind of curious as to. That guy needs to dress better.
Yeah.
So. Oh yes, I'll get to that in a minute. All right, so let's talk about the FOSS stuff. So if you want to take over this section of the meeting, just kind of a regular section where we talk about free and open source software things that have happened, like news and events, that would be very welcome. You can just send an email to me or to Matt, and we can hook you up. I put this together on kind of the things I've been hearing, and I'm not trying to do like corporate news, because I'm sure we all get that over LinkedIn or whatever. But who here's heard of jQuery? Yeah, you're aware that jQuery 4 is coming out? Yeah, it's kind of a big deal. So I read somewhere that something like 70% of all JavaScript-enabled websites actually still use jQuery. So all the love is towards React these days, and I'm sorry if you use what's that Google framework? Angular. I'm sorry if you use that. You could do that. Anyway, so jQuery 4 is coming out soon. That's kind of cool. There's another interesting thing that's been going on in the open source community, and that is, and this happened to the Express.js people. There was an influencer, a YouTube influencer, that put out this tutorial video on how to get noticed in your career. And one of the things was, do PRs to open source projects. And they used Express.js as an example. And so you had all these people actually like changing the README file for Express.js and doing PRs. So the maintainers actually they had to spend some time fighting with it. And when Express.js shut it down, they moved on to these other open source projects. So don't do that, by the way. That's not I'm not suggesting you should do that.
That's like those morons who took that article out of Admin magazine about how to poison machine learning and decided to shoot it at ChatGPT.
That's actually pretty funny. The European Union now has a right to repair law, so that would be kind of cool. I wish we would get something like that.
It's in the works, actually.
You have far greater faith in our legislators than I do. Yeah. So, can you scroll up a little bit? So how many people are JavaScript people? Do you use Node or anything like that? Yes, Amazon. Amazon just came out with a new runtime, which they use. They're supposed to be using it for their edge computing, I guess. It's where that's what the competitor is for.
How's it run versus Bun, the other new runtime?
I have not. So I'm not. When I interact with JavaScript, I generally regret it. So I don't try to. In fact, any project that requires me to download Node in order to compile or whatever that's an instant. Yeah, I don't. I'm like, sorry, I can't do that anymore. I don't know how fast it is. I know its startup time is supposed to be really good. So that's what that was their goal, because they use it in, I don't think Lambda was the issue. I think it was their CDN network. I forget what AWS calls it. But the thing where they have I guess it's Lambda on the edge. I can't remember what it is. That's what they wrote it for. It is written in Rust, so bonus for that. How many people have an Apple Vision Pro? I'm just kidding. I don't really care. So Apple also did something recently, not the Vision Pro, but they came out with their new configuration language called Pickle. Anybody used it? No? Yeah, so I don't really understand why they did that, but they open sourced it, so hey, it's pretty cool.
What license?
That's a good question. It was one of the more permissive ones. It could have been MIT. I can't remember. Apple's usually pretty good about that. They do BSD and MIT licenses and stuff like that. So, Nginx. How many people use Nginx? Yeah. Are you aware that one of the main developers has now forked it and called it Free Nginx? Yeah. Anyone used it?
Of course.
Not yet.
Although I'm not using it really extensively anymore, because now mod security is going to be deprecated come July, so there's no point in using it. I'm looking over Product Caddy, to be honest.
Ah, okay. Well, maybe that sounds like a feature presentation.
OWASP is going to maintain core OBA, which you can use on there, and you don't have to worry about. It's a lot better.
So you just said a bunch of things which I have a tentative grasp on. So I know what OWASP is. Caddy is software, but
it's a web server.
So this sounds like a presentation. So.
Next one, I'll give it to you among other things. I'll do it.
Okay.
Right on.
Take me on it. So Cloudflare. So Cloudflare also just released their kind of Nginx competitor as well, and it's open sourced. Okay, who's doing that? Anyone have an aversion to Cloudflare or their open source software?
It's a necessary utility because the HTTP doesn't scale, and so that's the only way you can make it scale is with utilities like Cloudflare. And the downside is they basically corrupt DNS and corrupt TLS. That's a necessary part of the way they work.
I would say the issue with you and I using HTTP on a home server and whatnot is bandwidth, not necessarily HTTP itself. But
no, I mean, you're going to have millions of users. You can't do it all from. You've got to distribute it.
Right, exactly. But this is software. They're not. They're not. I mean, they still have their service.
Kudos to CDN providers because it's the only way you can scale HTTP until people switch to another protocol like IPFS or something.
Just to clarify,
The
open source side of Cloudflare, I have no problem with. The commercially side of Cloudflare, I have a big problem. Any vendor is an HTTP.
All right.
They are two separate pieces of that model.
I can appreciate that. So has anyone played with Pangora? Or Pingora? I don't even know how it's pronounced.
Just heard it just now. I'm going to have to fire it up in my Keats Plus.
There we go. All right.
Don't be calling me when you're playing.
There were some sites that got canceled, and they were able to stay up using Cloudflare.
Yeah, and some of them got. Well, let's not get into that. Anyway, the U.S. government. Anybody heard of them? The U.S. government. Okay, the U.S. government just recently released actually, I just discovered this, but I think it happened back in January or February. not February, December. They have a paper on memory safety and so forth, and in there they talk about memory safe languages, and they've kind of laid it down into two different ways a language can be memory safe, spatially and temporally. And they named Rust by name. It was the only computer language they put in their white paper. So it's kind of like them, quote unquote, endorsing Rust. I just thought that was interesting. Anyone use Swift, by the way? Anyone done any Swift programming? No. Yeah, the Apple thing. So everyone says that's also memory safe in the same order as Rust. So I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, it came from Objective C.
Okay.
So and
It's still a work in progress.
it's slow. I don't know. I mean, if you ever pull down a Java project, you have to download the internet and then all the other things. I wouldn't consider that slow compared to Rust. Anyway, or I wouldn't consider Rust slow compared to that. KDE 6, Plasma 6. Anyone using it? Yes, sir. How's it working?
Well, I took my test laptop, so I used Guardia, Arlington, they usually Plasma 6 on it.
So, and you're using it right now, or it's like a test system?
Yeah,
or?
I've got fun playing with it. I mean, when I'm sitting in front of the TV, that's my, laptop with it.
Cool.
Somebody attach that thing to whatever's going to become the mobile distribution for Linux that literally, is true Linux that we're going to get on our mobile phones one of these days because Manjaro stinks.
Is KDE the one that has the mobile? There's a GNOME mobile thing.
Yeah, Plasma is what they were using for.
Like the Pine phone and stuff like that?
Yeah. That's what they were using it for.
Really?
Mm.
I've only seen like videos of that. I've never actually played with it. Actually, I don't have a Pine phone. But anyone have a Pine phone?
No, they're all made of PRC, man. No way.
It's not ready yet?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I run Fedora on it. The Pine phone is ready, but the
Software.
Well, the software is just, it's fine. It's just not battery efficient as Android. But running the latest Fedora, my Pine phone stays up for 4 hours, so I can take it.
All right.
But if you're not doing anything on it, then it can go all day.
Yeah, the interesting thing I like about the Pine phone is the form factor. You can get that keyboard, so it kind of reminds you of the old Scion thing. You use it too? You have a Pine phone?
Yeah, I have a Pine phone, although I cracked the screen because I got banged up one day. I'd say it's a B tier phone with potential to go S tier.
And when you took it to the Genius Bar, what did they say?
No, they said it was F tier, of course, because it wasn't Apple. So I just gave them the mental middle finger.
Area events. So, happening on March 30th up in Maryland, I think it's just south of Baltimore, there is the Vintage Computer Repair Workshop. That is done at System Source, which is also the computer museum. I've never been there. I've only seen pictures of it. Looks pretty cool. So you can go there if you have something you want repaired, like an old Commodore 64 or whatever, old Apple II Plus. They have it there, yeah.
What about a UNIVAC?
So they probably, you have a UNIVAC?
I have a story about the computer museum.
Have you been there?
I haven't, but when we were getting rid of our Series 1 mini computers, IBM Series 1, I called up the computer museum to see if they wanted it, and they said, yeah, we really want it. Don't, hold on to that thing. A working Series 1 is what we want, and we'll send the truck out to take it. And so I was guarding the thing, and the truck, waiting for the truck to arrive, and my coworker didn't believe me. No museum is going to want this machine. And I had to go to the restroom, and when I came back, my coworker was in the middle of cutting the cables for disassembly. The working Series 1, and so when I finally gave it to the driver from the computer museum,
How many years ago was this?
This was 19. When did we get rid of? We kind of phased out Series 1s for Motorola around 1985.
Oh, that is okay. Yeah, that's about the age of the series. When the series, so Series 1 became Series 3, and then that turned into eventually the AS400 line.
We still use the Series
So.
1, but it runs on an emulator. We still run it today on Linux.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because it uses a virtual machine, P code that is completely portable to any hardware you want.
All right, cool. Side projects.
Did you see the worldwide adoption of Linux desktop? It's top of 4%, 4.3%.
Yes, that's a good one. I forgot to put that on here. Yes. So the year of the Linux desktop is still 10 years away, but.
I disagree. Steam Deck is the new Linux desktop.
So you do work on your Steam Deck?
I avoid work on my Steam Deck all the time.
Oh, you avoid work on your Steam Deck. All right, cool.
Show off.
Is in India. I can believe that. Yeah, with the hardware's less expensive and less corporate. Yeah, I can believe that.
Train stations are where trains stop, and bus stations are where buses stop. So we all have a workstation on our desk.
So work stops. Okay.
Just a point of information: is this a 90-minute session today?
We're going to try to do some networking in a minute. So like human networking.
Yeah.
Side projects. So other than the two that are up here, who has a side project they want to talk about real quick? Quick.
One quick one is I'm actually going to restart something. I was starting this. There's a guy named Steve Forrester, runs a company called Stormblessed. He's got a product called Mistborn. Yes, it was named after the science fiction novel. I'm going to be getting ready to do this. We might even want to have contributors, testers, and all sorts of things because we're trying to accelerate this. Son of gun, the only reason why I abandoned the project is I took a contract and I had no time at the end of the day. I'm going to try to start it up soon. So when we do, I'll probably toss that in and say we're looking for volunteers.
Cool. And if you can put it on the board tonight.
I'll put it up.
Ed, are you raising your hand or are you just wiping your nose? Okay. So, yes.
One project I'm working on is I've been building a stream bouncer. I'm running an Ubuntu server that runs OBS and has a Rust bot that controls it. And then I stream from a separate OBS instance to that so that it sort of keeps my streams up and running and doesn't go down if there's like a network blip or something. Also, I can control everything from on. That's really fun.
That is kind of cool. That sounds like a presentation too. Also sounds like you could help us with our streaming and we want to do it because I realize I have an iPad here, but that was the last minute thing I could put together. So.
I have something I just discovered. So back in the 90s, we had this thing called multicast. And so anybody, we all had a radio station and, just low bandwidth. It was great. And then all the ISPs, they blocked, as part of the globalization effort, all the centralization of the internet, they all started blocking multicast. Also, an issue was who's paying for the bandwidth. But then I just discovered this in just this past few months that multicast still lives. It's just on VPNs, which solves the who pays for it problem. And the other problem is there's a number of VPNs. And then I just got the open source software IceCast 2, which isn't really a multicast over a VPN, but it's a network of relays, so that users don't have to be on the VPN to do your multicast. They can just connect to one of the relays and get your radio station. So that's been a lot of fun.
So that's like radio station over, or that's like shortwave or whatever. Yeah.
Right. But if you've already got internet connection, it's pennies.
How many people operate a network, Darren? Do you allow multicast on your network?
Not this one. At TWC, we had a very large multicast network.
So, Vincent, there you are. He's in the very back. He sent me this thing, so it's FIO. So Vincent is the maintainer, one of the co-maintainers, correct? Of FIO. Uh-huh. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And then scroll up just a little bit. So someone asked me about the smart clock thing. So this is something I was doing on the side over the Christmas break. I actually started trying to learn basic electronics, and one thing led to another, and I decided to build an alarm clock for my kids. As opposed to buying something that's $20, I've probably spent $150 doing this. But and when you talk about like all the things I had to buy and whatnot, but this was the outcome. This is one of the things I don't like about off-the-shelf alarm clocks is very few of them actually know like when is daylight savings and stuff like that. So this uses NTP to keep time, and then uses timeanddate.com or something. I can't remember the name of the site. There's an API that you can actually give it your time zone, and it knows that helps you do the subtraction of the time. So anyway, this is just a Raspberry Pico. You can't really see it in the picture. It's a little dark, but the thing in the lower right corner, right, is a Pico, and I just soldered it to this solder board that I got at Micro Center. How many people go to Micro Center? It's it does query the web. It's all MicroPython coded, and you just tell it. There's a version of MicroPython that works for the Pico W. So it's a Pico W, so it has the Wi-Fi, and you tell it go get the NTP to sync the time, and then go query this API, this RESTful API to do the time zone magic.
Right, well, that's what I'm saying. You simply need to query the API. Because now you're dependent on the internet for the operation.
Well, I'm already dependent on it for NTP.
You're only dependent on it for keeping the time synchronized. So when the internet goes out, your clock's still going to run however.
Oh, it doesn't. It only does that like once a day or something. It's not constantly querying that. No, they would get really upset with me if I did that.
All you have to do is download the zone data file for that time zone that it's set to. So you only have to download it once.
Yeah, but I don't know the changeovers.
That's what the zone file is. The changeovers.
The actual dates that Congress sets for.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the TC data files.
Oh, I could do that. If only we knew someone at IANA who had that information.
Add on the Raspberry Pi a $12 GPS module and get,
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
accuracy on your clock.
Yes.
Nice job.
Yeah. Thank you, Andy.
Yes, go ahead.
I've had in my house since around 93 a Jergens great control clock, which is a signal out of WWD and Fort Collins. problem with those clocks, and I have 6 of them now, of various makes, is that various places in the house, the signal doesn't work very well. So last week I took half of the house that had problems and put them in the garage where they catch the signal. I think it's a little troublesome. And then I thought, well, why do I even bother with the alarm clock when my cell phone has the GPS? And then you ask the question, well, why aren't these radio controlled clocks working on GPS? You have the satellite in front of you, on top of you, wherever you are in the world. Well, the only place I could find that sold such a clock was, I searched quite a bit, but it's easy to search these days, was Seiko, Japan. It cost me $100 with Japanese language, but you eventually was able to hack through it. But it works GPS. And you think that, and of course your cell phone, pretty much anywhere in your house, you can catch your signal. And so with the GPS clock, pretty much anywhere in the house, it will catch a signal at 4 times a day or night, whereas the WWD radio controlled 4 columns that always only works at night. So I had the opportunity, somebody manufactured something that's in English, a GPS clock. There are hundreds of them sold, models in the WWD here we have for 4 columns, but it's rare to find only one.
So I used to have Ohio Scientific, Omni Scientific, I can't remember the name of it. These alarm clocks that project on the I can't remember oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. And it would do the low wave, it would try to catch the atomic clock out of Colorado or whatever it is, and it worked about 1 day of the year. So which is not good enough for understanding when daylight savings time has started and stopped. Anyway, by the way, the hardest part I had with that was actually cutting the acrylic. So I spent more time doing that than anything else. Can you? I don't know what's going on with the payload thing here.
Yeah, I don't know either. Where do you want to go?
Was that the last one under there? Oh, networking breakout. All right,
Yeah.
So let's. We actually want to dedicate time for people just to talk and to chat, and for those who are trying to do job seeking, if you could find the people who are looking for jobs. And remember, we have a participants list if you want to put your name on here. Feel comfortable doing that. Also, there's a meeting survey at the very top if you want to do the meeting survey. Other than that, thanks everyone for coming out.
Thank you all.